We make dua to Allah with isti'ana. And we are unable to live a happy, fulfilling life. As the Sheikh says, وَلَا تَكُونُ الْحَيَاةِ سَعِيدَةٌ إِلَّا بِالْإِيمَانِ بِالْقَدَرِ. No one can have a happy, you cannot be happy, and you cannot be fulfilled, and you cannot be inwardly satisfied except with Iman in Al-Qadr. And for this reason, and this is the important point now, the Shaykh says, وَلِذَلِكَ تجد الكفار والفساق تضيق عليهم الأمور فيما يحصل لهم من المصائب فإذا ضاقت ينتحرون لأنه ليس عندهم نعمة الإيمان بالقدر. What does the Shaykh say? The Shaykh says, for this reason you will find that the people of disbelief and likewise the sinful amongst the Muslims, you will find that when calamities come to them, then everything becomes very, very hard. They find life to be very difficult. And when life becomes very difficult, some of them, they commit suicide. They take their own life because they do not have the favor and the bounty of believing in Al-Qadr. So here, this is something extremely important, that belief in Al-Qadr isn't just a thing that we believe in. It is something that directly impacts the life of a person, the livelihood of a person, the character of a person, right? And to finish our lesson, because we want to finish on this point, I want to just read to you, just to give evidence for what the Shaykh has just said, right? That believing in Al-Qadr is something that brings you a happy life, and it makes you resilient to the trials and tribulations of life. And the Shaykh made a reference to suicide, that you see that people who don't believe in Al-Qadr, and or even sinful Muslims who have a deficiency in belief in Al-Qadr, we see that they commit suicide. So we have this paper here, and it's called The Global Perspective in the Epidemiology of Suicide, right? So it's a paper discussing suicide all across the world, and I just want to read a few bits and bobs from this article. And so the section here, it says, so basically they're looking at the whole world, suicide rates amongst men and women, and then men and women combined. They're looking at different ages, and they're looking in different areas across the world, and looking at different even cultures and religions, right? So it's very good to see what's coming out of this data. And so at one point they say the highest suicide rates for both men and women are found in Europe, more particularly in Eastern Europe, in a group of countries that share similar historical and socio-cultural characteristics, such as Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and to a lesser degree, Finland, Hungary, and the Russian Federation. Right, so these are countries historically where there was a lot of there was communism and disbelief in Allah, atheism, materialism, as it is now. And then they continue to say in another place, also, according to the WHO regional distribution, the lowest rates as a whole are found in the Eastern Mediterranean region, which comprises mostly countries that follow Islamic traditions. Right? Islamic traditions. And then we see over the page, we see in a section called Absolute Numbers of Suicide, it says here, given the size of their population, almost 30% of all cases of suicide worldwide are committed in China and India alone. Right? So these are communists, atheists, and mushriks, polytheists, idol worshippers. Right? So either you have atheism, an ocean of atheism in China, or you have an ocean of shirk in India. So almost 30% of all suicides are actually in these two nations of atheism and shirk. And then we see suicide and cultural factors, the case of religious denomination. And they say here, a comparison of suicide rates according to the prevalent religious denomination in countries brings to light a most remarkable difference between countries of Islam and countries of any other prevailing religion. Right? He said a remarkable difference between Muslim countries and any other religion. In Muslim countries, for example, like Kuwait, where committing suicide is strictly forbidden, the total suicide rate is close to zero. It's close to zero. So then, on the final page of this paper, this article, you have this graph here that you can see. If you have a look here. And the title is Suicide Rates per 100,000 According to Religion. Right? So if you have a look at that, you can have a look. You can see there's like 5 entries. Right? So we have the left-hand side, we start with the Buddhist, and this is giving us numbers in terms of per 100,000, right? So amongst the Buddhists, men and women combined, you have a rate of 23 per 100,000, right? Suicides per 100,000 of population, 23. This is Buddhists. Then you have the Christian, which is 17, so not far off. Then you have the Hindu, which is 11. But the reason why there's more amongst Hindus is because they have a larger population. Obviously, it's 1.4 billion, right? Then you have at the end atheist, which is 41. So these obviously they are the most happiest people. Obviously they, because there's no hereafter, there's no resurrection, there's no judgment, there's no right, there's no wrong, right? It's just enjoyment. You make your life what you want it to be, your own rules. Clearly, you're going to be the happiest of person because, there's no law governing your behavior. There's no halal, there's no haram, there's no restrictions. So you're obviously going to be the happiest person on the earth. And so these people are taking their lives at a rate of 41, which is really double that of the Buddhists and the Christians, and, quadruple that of the Hindus. And then we have this thing, we can't even see the Muslim. What do you see there? Zero. Literally 0.1 per 100,000. It's not even 1. It's not even on the scale. It's 0.1. Right? Why is that? Well, exactly what the Sheikh said. We have al-Iman in al-Qadr. We believe in al-Qadr. We believe Allah decreed all things. And we believe Allah knows all things. And we believe, because Allah gave us the legislation as well, we have the legislation, we pray, we fast, we ask Allah for isti'ana, we make tawakkul upon Allah. And in fact, the Shaykh goes on to mention, and we can finish with this hadith. He says, وَإِذَا كَانَ الْإِنسَانِ إِنْدَهُ إِيمَانٌ بِالْقَدَرِ صَبَرَ عَلَى الْمَقْدُورِ وَانْتَظَرَ الْفَرْجِ من الله عز وجل وسهلت عليه المصائب وانشرح صدره دائما. So when a person, insan, he has belief in al-qadr, he will have patience upon whatever is decreed. He will anticipate relief from Allah, that Allah will make things easy and give him relief. And calamities will now become easy upon him. And his chest will always be expansive, always. His chest will never become constricted. Because why? He believes in Allah, he believes in Al-Qadr. He knows that Allah, whatever comes to the believing slave, is always positive, is beneficial. And that's because we have the hadith of the Messenger of Allah from Suhaib radiallahu anhu, who said that the Messenger of Allah, he said, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ, how amazing is the affair of the believer. إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ خَيْرٌ Indeed, all of his affair there is goodness. وَلَيْسَ ذَاكَ لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ. This is not for anyone but a believer. إِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ سَرَّاء شَكَرَ. If something good and pleasing comes to him, he is grateful to Allah. فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. And this is better for him. وَإِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ ضَرَّاء. If something harmful afflicts him, sabr. He then has patience. فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. And this is better for him. Right? So, from all of this, we see the benefit of believing in believing in al-qadar, and you can clearly see from Allah's creational decree, the evidences are very clear that the Muslims are the most resilient, the most patient, with the most expansive chests, and they anticipate relief from Allah, and they're able to have patience, and they are able to enjoy life. And this is from the fruits of Iman, that when you believe in Allah and the last day and al-qadar and paradise and hellfire and absolute truth and falsehood and judgment and reward, you have something to live for and anticipate, and you will be the happiest person. And conversely, when you believe in nothing and you disbelieve in the hereafter and in absolute truth, and you want to make up your own law and your own rules, and you follow your passions and desires and follow your own philosophies and whatever, yes, you'll get worldly enjoyment, but really there's no satisfaction in the heart. Right? There isn't any satisfaction in the heart. And that's why these people, they can go through the whole of life, engage in everything, have all the money, drink, women, cars, palaces, mansions, holidays, everything, yet they are empty inside. Right? There's no satisfaction because there's no dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this then is from the greatest fruits of al-imanu bil-qadar. Right?